So, my dear friends, today we are going to discuss an important topic, how we can deal with the technologies and how these technologies can be transferred in the rural areas so that the larger sections of the society, particularly the villagers, they may be benefited. So, from that point of view, this session will be devoted on appropriate technologies for sustainable development of our country. So, first of all, we should understand what is the concept of transfer of technology, why we do it, then what is appropriate technology, then we will come to the concept of sustainable development, then we will also discuss the scheme of community polytechnic or CDTP scheme, which is governed by MHRD. At present nowadays it is being run by Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Then we will go for the 10 areas of interventions for sustainable development, which areas we should work on. So we have identified certain areas, important areas where we should work. Then the neater Chandigarh experiments, and finally some conclusion. So we will give you all details in a systematic manner. So let us come to the first topic. What do we mean by transfer of technology? And what is the need of such thing? As you know, technology is the driving force for the human development. Right from the stone age to the plastic age to metal age, plastic age, then electronics age, now computer age, now the robotic age. So they are the different phases of development. What we have been terming at now likely to be the industrial 4.0 revolution is going to take place in near future, where the automation will be done, robotics will work. But what is the purpose? Purpose is here clear, that we want to develop. The human being want to develop, human being want comfort, human being want better quality of life, and that's why we use technology for the development. So the technology is required for the development. Industrialization is the way of development, and larger way we want to develop the human beings. Then for that, what we have to do? We have to do the extension of technologies from lab to land. Initially, all the technologies, they are designed in the laboratory, they are designed at the higher research lab, and then these technologies are further transferred to the land, to the industry, to the people, to the various working units. So that is the methodology, and we, if we see the Indian condition also, we also adopted big technologies initially, and we established many good institutions like IITs, IIMs. Then we also went for the CSIR, CAIR, Central Institute of Agriculture and Research, Council of Agriculture and Research, then Council for the Medical Research, then Council for the Pharmaceutical, and so on and so on. So all such a setup were done for the development of our country. So at the local level, what is the need? Why we need transfer of technology? We want to increase the productivity of the people, we want to increase the productivity of the system, and we want to increase the income or the economic, we want economic growth. So income of the people should also be increased. And second important thing, that we want to improve the quality of the life of the people, better education, better health, better all facilities. So this is the way we should go for it, and that's why we are talking about the transfer of technology. Then what do we mean by appropriate technology? Technology as per the needs of the local people and local environment, whether a day-to-day happenings. Technology as per the needs of the local people and local environment. This is the definition of appropriate technology. Means all the bigger technologies which were transferred through industrialization, that has a different meaning. But at the local level, so looking into the socio-economic conditions of the people, this particular term was coined by one of the economists. His name was E.F. Schumacher. E.F. Schumacher was by birth, he was a German, and he was working in England, in United Kingdom, and he was the economic advisor in the United Kingdom body, in United Kingdom coal board. He was the economic advisor there. So what happened in 1945-46? He was given to task to visit the Indian territory. At that time, the India was all equal. United India means Pakistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, on all such region was the part of Indian territory, and it was a colony of England or British. So E.F. Schumacher visited in 1945-46 to this place. Then he was astonished, he was surprised to learn many things, very good things in of our country. He visited rural parts of the country. Initially, he visited Myanmar, or what we call nearby area near to Bhutan. So he was very much surprised to see the Buddhist philosophy of living. How the Buddhists, their way of life is different. They are very cool, calm, and they are doing their work very coolly, without any stress, without any rat race. So that thing struck in his mind. That was one, the Buddhist philosophy. Secondly, he visited Wardha. Wardha in Maharashtra. As you know, there is a Gandhi Seva Ashram. It was also established somewhere in 4041, where the Gandhiji started some experiment for the village development. That was known as the constructive approach of development. So, जो गांधी जी के रचनात्मक कार्य की बात होती है, so we had a center at Wardha in Maharashtra. So he visited that center also, the E.F. Schumacher, and he also realized for the development of the rural people, different approach is required. There was another economist working with a Gandhiji there. His one name was J.C. Kumarappa. He was, and Gandhiji was of a belief that let us make our villages self-reliant. You must be knowing our father of nation were very much fond of this slogan that let us make our villages self-reliant. All the things should be produced in the village itself. The village should not be dependent on other places. Like each village has to has some kind of a small textile or the handicrafts, so means handlooms, so that they can produce their clothes there, they can produce all the food grains. So this way the Gandhi's approach was to develop the nation, to make our villages self-reliant. And he used to say the means हिंदुस्तान की जो आत्मा है वो गांवों में बसती है. India lives in the villages. So that was the statement given by Gandhiji. So he further, this person was influenced, and then he thought that the rural areas or the people from the poor socioeconomic backgrounds, they do not need bigger technologies like big textile mills, big industries. What will happen in the big industry and big textile mills? They will work on a philosophy called mass production. Mass production by using huge machine. But on the other way, from the socialistic point of view, we want production by masses. Means we have to give the jobs to millions of people in the country. E.F. Schumacher was very much influenced by that philosophy to how to provide work to the masses, how to provide jobs to the masses, and from that way he thought of a smaller technology, or he termed as an intermediate technology or appropriate technologies. So this was the concept introduced by him, and he wrote a book called A Small is Beautiful. So this book was wonderful book in which all the development process of the Europe and Asia and other countries has been narrated, and some comparison is being done. And later on he has introduced this concept that the people in the developing countries like India, they should go for the appropriate technology. So that this technology was followed by many America, Asia, and Latin American countries. They follow these technologies later on. So by and large, my friends, the low cost, based on the local materials, indigenous technology, which can be locally maintained and sustained, and they should be environment friendly. I will give an example how the technology fails in our country. One of my friends at IIT Delhi, he was conducting a research on solar refrigeration. He was conducting a research on solar refrigeration, and that equipment was brought from Germany. That equipment was brought from Germany, and he was continuously doing an experiment. And what he found, that some of the components was not working in the high temperature of Delhi, or the climate or extreme climate of Delhi. So during summer period, some of the components used to fail, and particularly the gas which is being used for the cooling, that gas used to leak. So he was continuously trying to work on that solar refrigeration model, but it did not work. Why it did not work? The technology was developed in Germany. It's a different climatic conditions. When it was brought here, it did not work. And once the any component get damaged, it cannot be replaced locally. So same thing has happening in many cases. These days, our technicians, they are not competent enough to repair many of the equipment which are coming from outside, particularly the electronic circuit and many such things. So we have to think about that locally available things, locally available material, locally available equipment, so that it can be easily maintained by our people. We should not be dependent on others. So the cost effective and environment friendly technologies are termed as appropriate technologies. Now let us see a development process in our country, how we are trying to grow, what has happened in the last 70 years. Initial period from 1950 to 60, when we got independence, our prime focus was to create administrative infrastructure. Then we went for the various infrastructure development, like we created dams. Many large river valley projects were introduced, like Bhakra Nangal Dam, like Hirakud Dam, and many such dams were created in all parts of the country. Then next, after that, that development, we our in during 60s particularly, or 50s and 60s, we used to have a lot of scarcity of the food in the country. Our countrymen, they were dying of hunger. So what happened, our prime ministers then they approached America and other countries to get some food grains. So we started importing food grains from America, from Mexico, and all such countries. So these food grains were the major crisis, and we were unable to feed our countrymen. This was the period in 64-65 when our prime minister was Lal Bahadur Shastri. He realized the problems of the countrymen, and what he did, he started observing fast on each Monday, because the food grains were not available in the country. Following him, many of the followers, they also started observing fast on Monday, so that we can save some food grains for the countrymen. That was the approach. That was the condition. Then some of the scientists, led by M.E. Borlaug, who was the father of Green Revolution, our agricultural scientists like Professor Randhawa from Punjab Agriculture University, M.S. Swaminathan from Tamil Nadu, all such scientists joined hands together, and they worked on model of Green Revolution. So in that way, the food grain production started, and gradually up to 70, late 70, our economy got stabilized from the point of view of food grain production. So this was a green revolution introduced. So the initial phase, three decades, we were working on the basic things, and approach of development used to be economic development with social justice. This was the slogan of the Planning Commission, and through which it floated a number of programs of development. Right from the beginning, there used to be the community development program, extension scheme, KVIC scheme, number of schemes. In 80s, IRDP, integrated rural development program, something. So more than 300 such programs were floated for the development of rural areas. Then what happened? So the approach was only economic, and we used to assess all the projects from the techno-economic point of view. So all of my engineer friends, they know about techno-economic feasibility study of the project. That these were the two important parameters. But late 80s, when the concept of environment friendly things came into picture, I gave you the idea that in 1970, once uh, all of a sudden the petroleum price in the world market increased 3 times, and the economy of Europe and economy of America and all the developed nations, they faced the problems in a major way, because three times increase in the petroleum price, it was a major change, and it destabilized the economy of Europe and America. So after that event, what happened? In the banner of United Nations, all the nations joined hands together. In the banner of United Nations, all the nations joined hands together and joined hand together and they called a meeting that is called फर्स्ट अर्थ समिट, पहली पृथ्वी सम्मेलन 1972 में स्टॉकहोम रोम में की गई। मुद्दा था कि पेट्रोल के प्राइस अचानक से 3 गुना वर्ल्ड मार्केट में बढ़ गए। सो द इन्वायरमेंट friendly issues were raised in 1972, and as you know, every 10 years there is a Earth Summit. So 1972, 1982, 1992, then 2002 and 2012. There were the 5 Earth Summit took place in which major decisions related to protection of Mother Earth, related to renewable energy, related to the population issues, related to various global issues are discussed. So the first Earth Summit took place in 1972, then 82, then 92, similarly. So during these meetings, many things decided, and Government of India also followed the United Nations rules and regulations. So late 70s and 80s, the environment friendly issues were generated. Central Pollution Control Board was established. Then we had a act on air pollution, we had act on water pollution, and all such acts were passed between this 1970 to 80. So environment friendly issues were raised between 80 and 90, and before 80 there was no issue of environment. Nobody was talking about this environment of Paryavaran, because when we started polluting the things at a larger scale, then only we this issue came into in the forefront. But in late 80s, another concept was introduced. It was named as sustainable development concept of sustainable development. So the climate change and sustainable development was the focus from the 2000 onwards. So 2000 onwards, the climate change and sustainable development is the focus. Development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So this is a concept given by this United Nations framework. So development process which meets the needs of the present generation means whatever we have, we should meet out the needs of the present generation, taking out from all the natural resources which we have, but it should not be compromising, which it should not be at the cost of the future generation. So the kind of air, kind of water, kind of land which we are enjoying, same way it should be returned back to the next generation. So that is the crux of the thing. Same way we have to return back to the next generation. So we are only the trustee of these resources, and we have to hand over back to the next generation so that they should not blame us that all the water is polluted or the air is polluted, all things are polluted. Now it is land is no more habitable. It all kind of a congestion. So the future generations should not blame us that you have not left anything for us to survive. So the process of development should be, which is just to the Mother Earth, means it should be according to need of the Mother Earth. It should not be very against Mother Earth, which fulfill the demands of the present generation, but it should conserve it, which should conserve enough for the future generation as well. So the trusteeship of the natural resources should be taken care of, and the same way it should be returned back to the next generation. So what is that concept? So concept was introduced in 1987, and it is also known as G.H. Brundtland report. Who was G.H. Brundtland? I will tell you just now. And the title of the report was Our Common Future: How to Make the Planet Habitable. our common future, how to make planet habitable. This was the title of the report. And what were the concern? They talked about population, they talked about food security, they talked about loss of species and biodiversity and genetic resources, then energy, industry, and human settlements. These were the major issues which has been dealt in this report, and various strategies were suggested. Who were behind it? The leader like G.H. Brundtland, she was the Prime Minister of Norway. She was the Prime Minister of Norway. She was three times Prime Minister of Norway from 1980 to mid 90s. And she was a medical graduate basically, initially. Later on, she did Masters in Public Health from Harvard University, and she became Director General of World Health Organization in 1998. So she contributed a lot in formulating the sustainable development strategies or the report, and later on she worked at various stages and she received many prizes in the field of environmental, working in the environmental issues. My dear friends, let us come to our world of work now. Being a part of the Polytechnic system, we are working or we are running a scheme called Community Polytechnic Scheme, which is known as CDTP scheme, started by Government of India in 2009. My dear friends, this scheme was way back introduced in 1978-79 in the name of Community Polytechnic Scheme. This was wonderful scheme developed by our planners. They thought that Polytechnic can contribute in rural development, and how they can contribute by working on the science and technology in the technical areas. They can contribute towards rural development. So these wonderful ideas, which were generated by our uh, forefathers or our previous generation, what they did, they made a framework that these polytechnics will work in the nearby areas, and they will do following things. What they will do? Number one, they will conduct socio-economic survey. The first component is not written here, but the hidden component is there. Initially, they have to conduct socio-economic survey in 10 to 15 villages. So in the surrounding areas, they have to conduct a socio-economic survey to identify the needs of the people according to their socio-economic conditions. What kind of skill development is required, what kind of technology is required, what kind of awareness is required, and how we can mobilize that force. Wonderful program. So, socioeconomic survey to identify the needs of the people. Then, based on the socioeconomic survey, after identification of the needs from the skill point of view, from the technology point of view, they went for another thing. First thing, manpower development. So, skill development. So, we are running 6 months courses through our this system, and many such courses are very well recognized by the community. And more or less, in last 40 years, we have trained about 44 lakh of people throughout the country. 44 lakh of the people throughout the country. Out of them, maybe 30%. 30% means 12 to 15 lakhs of trained persons, they got self or wage employment throughout the country. Some of them, they have also gone abroad. Maybe uh, 20 to 50,000 people, they went abroad based on this particular program. And through this 6 months courses, they used to get a certificate written under the banner of MHRD or under the banner of Ministry of Education initially. Then second important component, so as you know, by opening 10 to 15 extension centers, this scheme used to run and for the skill development. And through these extension centers, they were working on the skill development as well as transfer of appropriate technologies. So they identify certain technologies related to housing, related to sanitation, related to agriculture, related to organic farming, solid waste management, all such technologies. Then third important activity of the Polytechnic was to organize technical services, free repair and maintenance in the nearby villages. So free repair and maintenance, the people are directly benefited. Their equipment are repaired by the Polytechnic, by the instructors and the trainees or group of the such experts. Then technical support services means people or the villagers used to come to the Polytechnic, and they are guided from the several point of view. Number one, they are guided uh, from a point of view to how to develop a good house, how to go for better drainage system, how to formulate a project, how to make a venture, and that project may be organized. So technical support services is provided to sustain and maintain old technology in the villages and to formulate new technologies or new projects for the villages and for entrepreneurship also. The last one is the dissemination of important information related to various developmental process or technologies which are coming up. So dissemination of information through pamphlets, through the mass media, through the traditional media. So using all such traditional and mass media like folk mela, like exhibition, through this we are organizing some awareness camp, and through that we are operating. So each polytechnic is getting 17 lakh rupees at present as per the guideline, and 10 to 20 lakh as a non-recurring grant they are getting after 5 to 10 years. So this whole scheme is under review. Now we are proposing to increase this grant to 3 times. So about we have proposed about 62 lakh of a grant per annum under this project, and maybe 50 lakhs of grant under the non-recurring, because all the things have need to be upgraded. Wages have increased multifold. So the guideline which was prepared in 2009, it need to be revised. So we have already submitted a revised document to the ministry. Role of community polytechnics. What are their roles? They are working on the vocational training. 35% have got the self or wage employment. 35% of them, they have got self or wage employment through this scheme, and various kind of training program are being run by you, like house wiring, motor winding, refrigeration, air conditioning, welding, fabrication, plumbing, fitting, sanitation, radio electronics devices repair, computer hardware repair, two-wheelers, diesel engine, office management, mobile repair. So many courses for the boys and girls, from for the men and women who are employed. So many courses are there. There are some popular trades which have been depicted here. Other things you know. My dear friends, we covered the first aspect of the skill development. Now we come to the areas where we need technological interventions. So area number one, rural sanitation. That is crux of the thing. Second, drinking water, how to provide drinking water, potable water to the people. Third, water pollution check. Fourth, water resource management. Fifth, soil health management. Sixth, agriculture. Seventh, forestry and herbal products. Eighth, rural housing. Ninth, renewable energy. And 10th, IT application for sustainable development. So what I find, all group of the professionals can work together for rural development. So there is a space for the electronics and IT engineers. There is a space for the civil engineers. There is a space for the mechanical engineers. There is a space for the chemical engineers. There is a space for the social scientists. There is a space for all the people who are interested in rural development. So technological development from integrated village point of view, I have identified these 10 areas. So we'll discuss the areas and technological options and interventions. Before that, any project which you design for the rural areas or for the development, they should be worked on various important parameters. Number one, our project or the technology should be socially acceptable. Whatever we design, it should be useful for the society as per the needs of the people. Second thing, it should be economically feasible, means benefit divided by cost ratio should be greater than 1. But in many developmental projects, initially we have a big investment, after some time we get kind of a benefit. So economical feasibility is important. Then third is the technically practical. It should be technically practical. Fourth one is the it should be environmentally sound. And fifth one is the it should be sustainable with respect to disaster. Yesterday also I was talking, if you are going to construct any house or building in the any zone, you should go for the earthquake resistant houses. Suppose we are going to construct a construct a house in the cyclone prone area, and we have given an orientation of in near to the coastal region like this. If you provide the orientation of your building like this, so all the air will come and affect the building. But you have to change the orientation near to the coastal region, so that the all the air which come from the seaside, it should it should not be facing directly, so it should be released from the side. So that way, if there is some storm, then we should go for the second story, multi-story, so that at the lower level or the flooding, the things are not damaged. So all the offices and school buildings should be constructed on the upper upper portion, upper story, so that the flooding during the flood, the all the system is intact. It does not damage the office. It does not damage the documents. So we should design the projects as per the local hazards or the local disasters which are likely to happen. So that is one thing. But first four parameters are all very important. You might have seen many Indira Awas Yojana houses in your nearby region. They are abandoned. Why they are abandoned? Because it was not constructed as per the needs of the poor people. It was very small houses were given to them. There was no space. Initially, there were no toilets, no bathrooms. There were no courtyards. So many of monumental such events took place in our country. So you might see many of such houses which were never occupied by the people. It was only inaugurated for the 2 3 days. Later on, it was all left because it was not habitable at all. From the human angle, they were not made conducive. So there are various examples. I have been giving one example continuously to all of you. What happened? You know that Tata is a big company, and it has Tisco and Telco. These are the two companies led by them. So what the Tata company decided to develop one particular area nearby. So 30 to 40 kilometers from Jamshedpur city, there used to be a small forest, or there was a forest. In that forest, there used to be a small group of the tribes. They are the Birhor tribes of Chotanagpur, Santal Pargana. The Birhor tribe used to live deep in the forest. During 70s and 80s, when this incident happened, what happened? The Tisco company decided to work on them, and they decided that these all forest dwellers, they are facing lot of difficulties in living. They don't have house. They are fully dependent on the forest. They are dependent on hunting and gathering. So what the government, that Tisco company or Tata company, what they decided? They thought, let us provide them some facilities. So they constructed 50 houses near to the uh, roadside, and these all Birhors were convinced that we are going to create a good houses for you, and we will give you such houses. So they worked on it. They constructed 50 good houses for the Birhor tribes near to roadside, on the way from Jamshedpur, Ranchi Jamshedpur highway, and they were brought. So when the house was constructed, then inauguration was done. All the Birhor tribes from the deep forest, they were brought on the jeep and vehicles to this place, and they were handed over all the houses, and the inauguration was done. So everything was done, but after 2 3 days, all the Birhor tribes, they left these houses and they went back to the forest. Why it is so? Because these Birhor tribes, they used to keep some livestock also, some goat, some other livestock like cows and buffaloes. So they were unable to find fodder for the livestock. They were unable to keep their livestock, and most important thing, the livelihood was also not there. So immediately they left these houses and walk back to the forest. So because we did not take care of the socio-economic and cultural demands of the people, their deities and gods were also inside the forest. So they realized this place is no more good for us because the spirits are living here. Let's go back. So you can give it, I gave this example, it's a typical example. Accordingly, we did many mistakes and we designed many such technologies which were not conducive for the people. So we should go for the socially acceptable technologies. Then economic feasibility, as you told, we should go for the decentralized and small technologies which can be locally maintained and sustained, and the cost should be low. Technically is practical. Many a time what we do, we have developed a technology for the plain areas, but we are doing or applying it in the higher reaches in the Himalayan region. For example, hand pump or tube well is a good technology for the plain areas of northern India. But if we go and install the same technology in upper reaches of Simla or Himalaya, where the groundwater level is not available, that hand pump will be inaugurated for a few days, and after that there will be no water. So this mistake we have done in a large way, because centralized concept, centralized technology, they were taken or diverted towards all the states, transferred to all the states. For example, 1980 windmill project was initiated by Ministry of Non-Conventional Sources of Energy, and they distributed windmill project to all the states initially. And the people started installing windmills, and all the administrative way it went from center to state, from state to the district. So all the district magistrate, they installed windmills at various places. But what happened? After a few years, one evaluation was done, one study was conducted. What has happened to the windmill project? How good it, how well they are working? Then what was found? It was found that wind velocity is not available at all the places in equal amount, and these windmills cannot run. Later on, it was realized we have a better wind in the all coastal region, because in the morning we have a different breeze, in the evening we have a different breeze. As you know, the as the heat convection theory, there is in the morning in the coastal region there is a different breeze, and in the evening there is a different breeze due to the heat convection theory or the principle. So it was realized that these technologies can only be installed in the coastal region. So in Tamil Nadu, lot of windmills have been installed. Maybe in Kerala, and maybe in coastal region of Karnataka, and so on. Similarly, in the desert region also there is a bridge due to the heat convection principle. So in the desert area also in Jodhpur, Jaisalmer, the windmill projects are successful. So what I am talking about, the technical practicality of a project. So they were not technically practical. That's why we had to go further such things. Then environmentally sound. Our project should be environmentally sound. We don't have to elaborate on it. And last component I have already elaborated. Now I will give an example. If we do not include the DRR component, what will happen? For example, in Odisha and Bihar, as you know, our late Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he started a golden quadrilateral highway project. Under that, various projects are being run. In Odisha and Bihar, some of the places are the big highway were constructed. For the construction of highway, what we do, we make a kind of fill up earth, and we ram it, and we make some kind of an embankment on which the highway has to be constructed. So it may be 10 to 15 feet height. So in that way, we have to fill up the land or the earth. And after filling the earth, you have to construct a highway, so there is a no problem. The same way the highway were constructed, but what happened? The planners and engineers or the contractors, they got the project and they ignored the local parameters. They constructed 1 or 2 kilometer long patch, 3 kilometers long patch of highway without providing any culvert in between, where the water used to be diverted or the drainage was there, natural drainage was there. So the whole natural drainage were blocked for the 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers. So in some parts of Bihar and Odisha, what happened during the rainy season or the monsoon period, whole of the villages nearby, they got submerged due to flood. The drainage system was blocked. Same way happened in Chennai. On the course of the river or on the course of the drainage system, we have constructed houses. Same thing had happened in the Kedar Ghati. So most other cities and town plans, river beds have been captured and encroached. So what happened in Odisha and Bihar? In we wanted to develop the area. Now it becomes a destructive approach, and whole area got flooded. So what the people did later on, they cut the road itself to pass the water, which was the traditional way of water. So many time it happens. So we have to take care of such component. My dear friends, there is a slogan called "Think globally, act locally." That is a very nice slogan. You have to collect the ideas from all over, but when you have to apply at the site at the local level, there should be the site specific solution. There should be the site specific solution. So the program number one, which we have been talking for the technology point of view, what to do? Let us take the issue of rural sanitation, under which issue of disposal of grey water. Grey water which is coming out of your bathroom, coming out of your kitchen, they are called grey water. A lot of contamination is not there. So for the grey water, we can have some soak pit or some waste water disposal system. So we can design it locally in a various way. First corner, you can see there is a 1 cubic meter a tank which has been constructed. It can be constructed with the help of ferro cement reinforcement, where we are going for the chicken mess reinforcement. So first corner left side, which you see, we have filled up with the various filter material like the stone blocks, stone boulders, then the mm, brick brick blast or the brick bats, and then stone chips. So three important materials: a stone or the brick bats of the bigger size, maybe 5 inch diameter. Then the smaller size, 3 or 3 inch size. Then we come to the 1 inch size of stone chips. So these are the three materials used in the three compartments, and the grey water is released from one compartment and it is filtered through this method. And finally, it is released into the ground. So this is a simple way. It can be also constructed in the simple way, like you can see in the right corner. Right corner, the simple pit is constructed, maybe 3 to 4 feet deep, and it is filled with the different materials. Initial 1 or 2 feet we have filled up with a coarse sand, then bigger size of brick bats, then a smaller size of brick blast or brick bats, and in the top we can have a stone chips. So three gradients, three different sizes or in comparison to filter the grey water. And left side, below left side, we have a ferro cement tank, which are divided into 4 compartments. This ferro cement tank, and in the right side bottom we have a brick walled that is called wastewater disposal system, and we can channelize the water this way. Channel the water. So this is grey water may be checked, and the construction cost is about 500, even some 200, 300. So we have low cost and locally designed technology. Then issue number two, disposal of human waste, human excreta, because they can cause many diseases. As you know, 80 to 90% of diseases, they are waterborne. And if human excreta is mixed with the drinking water, then lot of problems come. So in order to dispose the human excreta separately, it is important, and particularly in the rural areas, we have basically individual type toilet, individual family type toilet, and in that toilet construction, the Himachal Pradesh took a lead initially. Some of the polytechnics, they installed thousands of toilets in the rural areas of Himachal Pradesh. That is called ferro cement toilets. Thousands of such toilets were constructed by the Polytechnic. They prefabricated all the components at their Polytechnic, and later on they installed this prefabricated ferro cement toilet. My dear friends, let me explain what is ferro cement. Ferro cement is a name of reinforcement. How we are going to reinforce? We are using chicken mess, and we are using cement and sand. The cement and sand is used in the 1:3 ratio, and we use chorus sand. And if the fine sand is there, we add some jeera bajri, small stone chips. So we add some jeera bajri for the construction, and this a small construction is done with the help of ferrocement technology, which have been very, very successful. Lower bottom, you say model of ferrocement technology, where five, five pillars are casted separately. These fillers are installed later on, and between the fillers there are certain groups. In these groups, small panels of different size, they are fitted, and in the front there is a small door. So the five columns, some beams, and all the columns are of 7 feet height. It is installed 1 foot in the ground, and this is the model. Then second is the septic tank, right corner. You see the septic tank. So the family size septic tank can also be constructed. Then most beneficial and most conducive, go for the biogas plant and attach with a toilet. Attach it with a toilet. Go for the biogas plant and attach with a toilet. So these are the three models which are there, and we should go for it. You can also construct toilet as well as bathroom, but this model is no more managed at Sundarnagar. It is little bit damaged. Initially in Himachal Pradesh, this technology was done in a lot, and they got a good recognition at the national level. My dear friends, we dealt the two things: disposal of wastewater and disposal of human excreta. But the third component is very, very important. Unless we change the mindset of the people in the rural areas, we can't do anything. Even if we construct the toilet, the people will go for open defecation. So we have to educate the women folk, we have to educate the men folk, so that they can use the technology and they make their villages ODF. So you might have seen a film called Toilet Ek Prem Katha. In that film, the problem and the mindset of the people has been shown. What is shown? There is a group of the traditional mindset people, a family person who believes that there should not be any toilet in the house. It occurs, and it should be outside. People should always go outside. So there was no toilet. So he get married, his son, the daughter-in-law income. It was based on the actual picture, actual story of Priyanka Bharti. You might have seen an ad of Priyanka Bharti or Vidya Balan. So that ad you might have seen. In that ad, what is shown? Meet Priyanka Bharti. What she has done? She left her house because her in-laws' house, because there was no toilet, and they pressurized. She pressurized that the in-laws should construct the toilet, then only she returned back. So there was a message that without toilet, the prestige and pride of women or the dignity of women is compromised. So we should not compromise on that. They must be provided toilet. The same story has been repeated and some masala was added in the toilet ek prem katha. But the story was that the toilet is must for the people and they should say that they should not go in open. Problem number 4: what to do of agriculture residues. So here we have developed a video program at Chandigarh. This video uh, can be downloaded from our website. So on agriculture recycling, we have developed a video long back, and that can help the people to recycle the agriculture waste. So technologies which we follow, we should adopt various composting techniques like um, tanks we can design, and in that tank we can recycle the biodegradable waste. Then the second is the biogas plant, and the biogas plants we can construct in these villages because the cow dung is available. Then the vermiculture, most of you know about it. With the help of earthworms we can recycle the cow dung and biodegradable waste, and we can have compost. Then the other waste recycling techniques are also there. Then recently, boiler, one of the technologists from the IIT Ropar, what he has developed? He has developed a pellet machine, a briquette machine. He is using the agriculture waste or agriculture residues, particularly paddy waste, and that paddy waste is supplied to a conveyor belt and it is further pressed, it is pulverized and pressed, and later on we are getting a briquette, a small pellets, which can be used in the boiler. So the compost, vermicompost is the one which can be easily, most of the technologies were transferred, this technology was transferred by the all the polytechnics in the rural areas. So what we do, we are collecting the cow dung from the nearby areas, we are making 10 to 15 pits, and in these pits they are systematically recycled. So we make a pit of 10 feet by 3 feet by 1 feet. Dimension is 10 feet by 3 feet by 1 feet. In that we put all the cow dung, and later on after breaking into the small pieces we add the earthworms. They are the special type of earthworms which can recycle whole of the cow dung in 30 to 40 days, maybe the 50 days. So the number of earthworms will increase to 2 to 3 times. In 21 days they multiply. There are certain type of earthworms, they are called red earthworms or tiger earthworms. They multiply in 21 days. So this way they eat upon, means they feed upon the cow dung and they excrete something which is termed as the cast or the vermicompost. Then the drinking water. Issue of drinking water is very pertinent issue. These days we all are taking or drinking the RO water or the water from the various kind of the purifier installed in our house. So let me ask this question: do you think this purified RO water which is available in your house after the installation of various RO or the purifiers, do you believe that water is good for your health or fit for the human consumption? We all human beings, ladies and gents and men, both men and women, they need some mineral supplements. So the various kinds of companies are coming to supplement the minerals because our body get deficiency of minerals. So the water which we are getting, it is deficient of minerals which are required. So the potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, all these salts which are required for the body, it is missing. The people or the people from our Himachal, they are the lucky enough when the river and the small streams passing through the various rocks, they are adding the minerals and they are getting the real mineral water. So they are lucky enough. Similarly, at Chandigarh also, we are more lucky because all the water is coming from Himachal Pradesh. So it is coming to Bhakra Nangal and then it is recycled and then it is given to us. So at Chandigarh, there is no problem in the water. We are getting healthy water. But people in Chandigarh also, they have installed the purifier and they are getting that water. It is a vacuum water. In Haryana, there used to be the story of the vacuum water, and the politicians used to say, I will first of all tell in Hindi, then we will translate in English. ये पंजाब वाले बड़े बदमाश हैं, पंजाब वाले बड़े बदमाश हैं कि जितना पानी आ रहा है हिमाचल से उसकी सारी बिजली पहले निकाल लेते हैं, सारी एनर्जी निकाल लेते हैं और फोका पानी हरियाणा को सप्लाई कर देते हैं, उसमें से क्या पैदावार खाक होगी. Means we are withdrawing all the energy from the water which is coming from Himachal Pradesh by the Hydel project, and whatever the water we are getting is energy less. It's a very, very illogical and unscientific logic given by the politicians of Haryana, and they used to dwell upon that, and even the people in Haryana, they used to believe on it. That ताऊ ठीक कैसे, ताऊ जो है वो ठीक कह रहा है कि जब एनर्जी निकाल ली तो इस पानी में बचा क्या, बिजली निकाल ली तो बचा क्या. But this is not true, because it's a kinetic energy which has been used, and there is no harm in it. But the most important thing, through this purifier we are extracting all the minerals. So, and there is a lot of water is rejected also. That is another problem. Lot of water is rejected also. So my dear friends, we have to think about it, and we have to develop certain mechanism to treat the water, potable water. How we can do it? Government of India has formed a policy to provide 40 liter of water to each person of our country. 40 liter of water to each person of our country, and at least 30 liter of water to each person of our country in the remote corner of the country. So this is the policy the government of India has followed. There are the three types of the problems. There may be the dirt or the physical impurities or contamination due to dirtness. Second is there may be the biological infestation. So some bacteria, some germs may be found. Third, chemical contamination. These are the three things water we find in water. Physical impurities or contamination is dirt and such things. So what to do about that? Then the biological infestation means germs, bacteria, and all other things are found in the water. And third is the chemical contamination. Third is the chemical contamination. So what to do for different problems? First, for the first kind of a water, we can directly go for filters. So these filters are very low cost. They are called porcelain filter. You can fit it into your pitcher, you can fit it into the bucket, and you can recycle the water, particularly the dust, etc. It can be easily cleaned or sieved. So even your it can be also cleaned with the help of cloth. So this is a very simple filter which can clean the water from the dirt or some physical impurities. But for the biological impurities, what we can do? There is no other option. For the biological impurities, you have to boil the water. That is the only way, because the germs are there, bacteria or any germs. After the rising the temperature, if you boil the water, the germs will be killed. So the boiling is the only solution for the bacterial contamination. So you have to test the water. If the bacterial contamination is found, then we go for boiling the water before taking it. Otherwise, you may face various problems, and the very common problem is the diarrhea. As you know, due to diarrhea, about 5 lakhs of our young children, they die every year. It's a kind of epidemic. We are still not able to manage. So the 5 lakh of the people between 0 to 5 age group, they die every year. And 15 lakhs of such children, they die all over the world. 15 lakhs of children, they die all over the world. This is a scenario. And we have to, that's why UNICEF, United Nations, all such agencies, they focus on how to provide safe drinking water, how to provide sanitation. So water and sanitation is the problem number one and for all time. Still, in spite of all Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, we are unable to manage the problem. Although there are certain uh, good things happening, like the toilets of the trains. Now there is no more uh, hmm, spread of human waste all throughout the track, because we have gone for the bio toilets, and many measures are being taken. Gradually the shape or environment of a station or the platform is improving. Recently I visited Delhi station, Delhi platform. It is uh, more conducive, free from free from smell and all such things. New things are coming up, but we have to work a lot. The third problem is the chemical contamination. What to do about it? The chemical contamination, we don't have any solution. So only solution is the distillation. So here you can see there is a multi-effect distillation unit installed by IIT Delhi, where the water, particularly the uh, dirty water or contaminated water, is recycled again and again, and through this system again and again, and whole of the water can be recycled. Recycled means what we are doing? We are trying to boil the water, and boiling we can evaporate it, and the evaporated and clean water may be collected through the distillation process. So ultimately what we are getting? We are getting a distilled water out of it. So distilled water, you, as you know, why the rainwater is not potable? Because minerals are not there. In the rainwater, minerals are not there. So that's why it is better to recharge the rainwater into the ground so that it is mixed with the minerals. And that's why the groundwater used to be the most useful and potable water earlier, but gradually we have contaminated the groundwater as well. So the distillation process may help to recycle brackish water, the sea water, and water contaminated due to the arsenic, heavy metals, fluoride. So all such water need to be recycled, and with a distillation process later we can add some minerals before taking. Without, because distilled water is not fit for human consumption, we should add some minerals as per the requirement. So rainwater harvesting is another technology, we should go for it. It's a very simple technology. Like in Tamil Nadu, there is a traditional tanks which were constructed by some of the kingdom, and they have been working. But nowadays we have forgotten many of some traditional systems are dying. So traditional rainwater harvesting system need to be revived. We should collect the water and we should recycle. Then water pollution is the another big issue on which we have to work, and what to do about it. So water pollution, effluent treatment plants have been set up. Then the second solution may be, first of all, we should have ETP for all industries. Second, for the small ponds, etc., we should go for the phytoremediation, means treatment of water with the help of small plants. Then third is we can have a wastewater disposal system. Then in the cities and in the rural areas, we have a better drainage management system so that the storm water is also managed and it can be recycled and reused. So the bigger projects for the industries, ETPs must be there. Most of the bigger industries, initially they did not set up the ETP plants. That's why most of the rivers got polluted in last 30 years, because norms were not followed and they injected lot of effluents into the river. So whole the river like Yamuna, Ganga, and all such various rivers, even in Tamil Nadu, they got polluted. And now we are trying to revive or the recycle, treat the water. It is a huge task. It's not a small task, because the effluents added or the chemicals added for the last 30 to 40 years cannot be cleaned in 1 or 2 years. That's why most of the projects like Namami Gange project, all such projects are failing, because we have already polluted the river in a huge way. How to go back, how to take a U-turn, it's very, very difficult. So effluent plant, where the primary, secondary, and tertiary level, these effluents are treated. You can understand, most of you are engineers, you might have seen these ETPs, where the primary level, secondary level, tertiary level, these things are recycled. Some of the chemicals are precipitated, some of the heavy metals are precipitated, and we try to recycle. But what these pharmaceutical industries and chemical industries, they are waiting for? What they do? They collect the effluent for the longer period, and they wait for the rainy season. When there is a lot of rain, they add to the drain and they flow it. This has been happening. They know it. These effluents, if we are throwing every day, it will create problems to the local people. So better wait for the monsoon period and flow it during that period. So with the dilution, it will go far away, and there will be no impact nearby. So the effluent treatment plant should be must, it should be, and regulations should be strict. My dear friend, in the nature you might have seen this scenario. You might have seen this scenario nearby. What is this? There is a pond, and this pond is filled with all water hyacinths. इसमें पूरे पॉन्ड में जल कुंभी छा गई है. क्यों छाई है? What is the reason? There is a reason called eutrophication. Effluent or the biodegradable substances, biomass, along with the water coming to the pond. So there is a lot of food for the such plants. That's why it has grown like anything. So it has covered whole of the pond. This scenario is so it says nature has its self mechanism to recycle the dirt or the contamination, and in recycling such things in the nature, these plants are helping. Similarly, in the ponds, some of the ponds in northern India, we have a small floating plants called duckweed. A weed means a kind of a plant which is not required. So a duckweed plant can be generated or produced in a pond. It is a floating pond, and it cures or it treats the water. It treats the water. Similarly, at NITA Chandigarh, we did an experiment in which the water was cleaned with the help of these plants. And this is called Canna indica. This is called Canna indica, which is available all parts of the India. What we did? We developed a float or some kind of a small float, and this float or the small system was created, and we put inside the pond. So 30 to 40 of such floats were created with the help of hollow pipe, FRP pipe of 20 feet size. This FRP pipe were cut into 4, and with the help of elbow, it was joined together, and what we have done in between. So you can see the float, which is made of the FRP pipe, and in between there is some material. On that material, the plants are installed. What is that material? So it is a material from south. In between, what we have done, we have a wrap of a jali, and in between we have filled with coconut fiber. So now it has become a float, and on coconut fiber we have planted these plants, and it is a floating plant. It will move all around the pond, and dirty pond may be treated. So we did some research, and we found it is working. How it is working? It gave the result that BOD and COD, these are the two negative parameters. They were controlled, they were checked, and BOD and COD, these are the two negative parameters. If it is increases in any pond, in any water, means your water is more and more polluted, chemically and otherwise. So BOD and COD was very high in the high of such water. It was a sewage pond basically. Then dissolved oxygen is the positive parameter. If it is better, it is high, then it is beneficial for the microorganisms or even for the fish. So we did the experiment, and if we found that this BOD and COD was controlled and dissolved oxygen was improved. So this was the experimented, and it was found that this is working. So we did this experiment. Now, my dear friends, we'll have this story, and after that we'll close the session for the next session. What is this story about? There is a village called Bila near Ludhiana. 5 years back, the villagers used to face a problem. So what they did? First, you initially see a picture. This is a village in deep part of the Punjab in Ludhiana district. In that village, there used to be a huge pond. And you see the Gurudwara, all the people used to go there and they pray every day there. What we call all the Sikh, they believe in Guru Granth Sahib and they go there. So this whole village was, all the houses were constructed in the periphery of this pond, and in the middle of the village this pond was situated. So you see this picture of the pond from all the angles. So you see the construction of the houses in the periphery of in the periphery of this pond, and in between, in the mid of the village, this is a pond. So it had a lot of problem. It was full of waterborne diseases, means it was a source of waterborne diseases. People were facing malaria, people were facing diarrhea and other problems. But the people or the villages decided something. What they decided and what they did, I will ask a question, whether it was a good experiment or bad experiment, that you have to share with me. So see the story and just tell me what has been done. So villagers decided to pump this water away from this place to a panchayat land, which may be the 3 kilometers away. So they pumped the water from this pond, and they take it away 3 kilometers away to a new place, and at a new place they dug a pond there. They dug a pond, and what they did, they dug the pond, and all the earth which were dug from there, they were brought to this pond, and this whole pond was filled up with earth. So there used to be 30 to 40 tractors in the village. All the tractors were used for this purpose, and in 15 to 20 days, whole of the pond was filled up. You can see gradually this earth filling, and 15 to 20 days, or maybe 1 month, what they did, they developed the whole pond into a football ground. So they have solved the problem. Now the debate is whether this is a good project or bad project or fantastic project or excellent project. From the public health engineering point of view, this is a resolution of the problem which is the people have been facing, where the people have been facing the problems related to diseases, contamination, etc. The problem is transferred from one place to another, and the whole villages, they become very happy. What they did, they dug a open channel of a 3 kilometers after pumping the water, and during this process most of the water used to be evaporated, and it did not reach to the 3 kilometers away pond that was dry. In a process they solved whole of the problem. So this is one part of the thinking from the civil engineering point of view and public health point of view, public health engineering point of view. It was good, but it is not advisable to all the places. Otherwise what will happen, that all the traditional ponds, they used to be the source of groundwater recharge, and that water used to be percolating down, and it was fed to the wells and tube wells. So this is not advisable project. Part of it may be correct, but we have to create a separate water tank where the water may be treated and irrigation through which we can go for the irrigation. So it is a project which says some positive but many negatives. So we should not advocate converting whole pond into the ground or the football ground. Rather, we should create some recycling system. Treatment should be done so that water may be treated and it may be reused. So that is the crux of the thing. It is not advisable, that point of view, that you convert whole of such ponds into the football ground or a marketing complex. That is not advisable. Otherwise, the traditional rainwater harvesting system of the village will be affected, and gradually it will affect the groundwater level. So the environmental point of view, from the ecological point of view, this project is the worst project. And from civil engineering point of view or public health engineering point of view, it is partially successful, but we have to provide alternative so that the water may be treated, recycled, and that may be used. So this is the story all about.